Rev up your engines!
I can't help but laugh at General Motors. The Bolt factory, their electric cars, shut down for the rest of 2021 because they're trying to figure out how to fix all those battery problems that they have, right? And that's a small, relatively simple little car. Yeah, they're going to build bigger ones that are great, right? Yeah. GM, the company that has quality control problems up the wazoo. And they can't even build more of these bolts now because they got to fix all the crappers that they built in the first place. And of course, we all know how it is. If you don't know how it is, listen to Wise Scotty. Scotty's learned a few things in his time, right? Once you buy something from a company, if it's bad, you're generally SOL. It's just too bad. They'll say, oh, we're sorry you're not happy with our product. Here, we'll send you to some guy who'll give you a line of baloney. They won't actually fix it, and then if they'll have your car for 3 months, well, you don't even have a car. Don't buy these stupid products. The companies can't make them. Don't buy them. Don't encourage them to go further, or they'll make even bigger piles of junk that then when you buy it, you're stuck with it. Now, they did start production again in November, but November 15th, they shut it down again because they got to try to fix all the crappers that they made. They can't make new crappers until they fix the old crappers. And here's the director of the plant, the Orion plant, where they build the bolts. Here's what he says. Beyond 2021, our production schedule continues to be dictated by what is needed to help the customers affected by the recall, as opposed to filling orders for new bolts. Maybe you should have built them right in the first place, you know? I mean, anybody that puts their money into this stuff, they're nuts. You trust these companies. GM has a history of nothing but quality control, especially in the last couple of decades. And they're going to come up with a new vehicle, and they're not going to have problems. Keep your money away from the Bolt if you value it, you know? I wonder if they paid Usain Bolt for the use of his name. Maybe you can sue them for that, too. He was fast. Their cars, maybe not so fast. Their cars break down all the time. That guy didn't break down at all. So, well, Stellantis at it again. Stellantis is laying off 200 more workers in an Indiana plant. They blame it on the chip shortage, but I predicted all this. Chrysler, then Fiat bought it, then Stellantis, Peugeot, Chrysler, Fiat, right? It's a European company. They're going to try to shut down as many American factories as they can get to. They're going to make them as cheap as they can overseas. I saw the same thing years ago happen with that Optima battery. They actually made great batteries in the past. They were fantastic. They're all made up north in the United States. And then they opened a factory in Mexico, and they all said, oh my God, you're going to take our jobs away. Don't worry about it. That's just for the European market of batteries that we're making them in Mexico, because you can't make enough here. We can make more in Mexico. Guess what? A few years later, they shut the plant down in the United States, and they only made them in Mexico. The quality of the batteries went way down, but the price continued to go up. I predicted this, and it looks like my predictions are coming true. These companies take over. They're not interested in American workers. They want to make them as cheap as they can, and they come up, oh, we'll blame it on the chip shortage. That's why we're not doing it. Ha! That's all I have to say is you knew that they're going to get rid of American jobs when they started buying these companies. Last week in Belvidere, Illinois, Stellantis said they were laying off 400 workers there. Yeah, they're not going to do it all at once. This is going to be a piecemeal thing, probably. A couple weeks ago, they laid off 1,800 workers in Windsor, Ontario, where they make vans. And of course, they're blaming it on the microchip stuff. That's all I got to say is they're using it as an excuse to get rid of people who have to pay more money and move it somewhere else. Anybody can see that's happening. They pretend it's not going to happen. Oh, no, we're not going to do that. And, of course, then they just turn around and do it. You see that all the time. And Stellantis doesn't surprise me at all. The French companies, Peugeot, Renault, all those companies, they've been bankrolled by the French government for years, subsidized for there. Do you think they give one hoot about what's happening in the United States? Of course they don't. Obviously, this kind of stuff is going to happen. They use it as an excuse to get rid of people. Just like they use it as an excuse to an Optima battery, where they said, oh, we're just building the European and world batteries down there in Mexico. We're still keep the American plant over, and then years later they shut the American plant down. See what happens in the future? Maybe you'll be watching this video 10 years from now. See if I'm right or not. I bet you I'm right. Dealer Haynes says, do mechanics get mad if I ask for the old parts back? I have PTSD from the past experience, and these new mechanics, I don't want to get them mad, but I get peace of mind if I see the old parts. Well, any honest mechanics are going to care. I tell my customers, you want them? Have them. You want a paperweight, just tell them that you want to see the stuff and that they can have them back if they're cores. Like say you need an alternator. Almost all alternators are remanufactured. So when they buy a remanufactured alternator, they got to give you your old one. They get what's called a core charge. So let's say you want to see it. They just hold on to it, and then there you see it, and then give it back to them, and they'll take it back to the store and get their $50 core or whatever back. Or if you're really anal and you want to keep it, just tell them I'll pay for the core, and you pay for the core, and you can keep the old part, which you probably wouldn't want anyways. But no, it's totally fair. It's honest, you know. If the guy's an honest mechanic, what does he care? Just tell him exactly what I said. If they're remanufactured parts, tell them that, you know, I want to see them, and then I'll give them back to you, and you get your core back. And then the honest mechanic will say that's okay. I don't blame you. I mean, it's honest for all sides then. Here's the part, here's what I put on, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. Yes, it's insane world in the car industry again. If you're watching, Rivian did their IPO right, and the market value when they started up now is $116 billion. This is total absurdity. That's 32% more than GM is worth, and 47% more than Ford. This is a company that, you know, is losing billions a year. People are jumping on the bandwagon. All I can think of is go back to the gold rush in California and Alaska. Thousands and thousands of people went and thought, we're going to all make it rich. They didn't. And people jumping on this bandwagon saying, oh, there's the future. They're going to make a fortune. Nobody looks at the big picture anymore. They just think, oh, it's electric cars. Let's put our money into it. They don't have a profit yet. They may never have a profit. It's kind of insanity itself when you really look at the picture. It could be years, if ever, that those things become mainstream. And that's now, when there's hardly any ones out there. If there were bunches of electric cars out there, then you'd really be stalled. I was reading an article a guy had, he said it took him 50% more time to go from California to New York cross country than he had planned for because of all the glitches with the electric charging stations. That's now, with just a handful of people driving them cross country. If you had hundreds of thousands of people driving like that, it'd probably take 1,000 times more, not 50% more, but 1,000 times more. You'd be waiting in line for days to charge your car up. I mean, it's just absurdity that these people have jumped into this. But then again, you know, the gold rush occurred. All those people lost all their money, went to California, then later they went to Alaska, lost all their money there too. What it comes down to is the absurd notion of the stock market in the United States and growth. If something grows, they see it's a good idea. So they think, hey, the EV car makers, they got nowhere to go but grow. Yeah, if they grow. You plant a seed, there's no guarantee that seed's going to grow into a tree. And it takes a long time for an acorn to turn into an oak tree, right? The money that people are throwing into these things, it makes your head spin. And if you've seen the scams that have been pulled, industry where guys pretend they have one that works and they actually just pushed it down a hill, you'd be a fool to invest your money into this stuff. It really would be a stupid move. Unless you had some kind of information like old Elon. I mean, of course, he knows the information. Look at his brother. His brother's been making all kinds of money, millions and millions on the stock, selling them right before bad news comes out and stuff, you know. Oh, it's just a coincidence. He's done it a bunch of times, right? Oh, it's just a coincidence that he sold it before it tanked and this news came out, right? You know, come on, you're not going to get that kind of information yourself. You take a real gamble thinking, when can I buy? When can I sell? Well, they know, you don't, right? The money that people are putting into these and the valuation of these companies that have yet to make a profit really and truly amazes me that people would even get involved in this stuff and take it seriously. Oh, that's a great investment to put it in, blah, blah. Just watch yourself. That's all I got to say. Let the big boys play with this stuff, and, you know, they can afford to lose. They got tons of money, right? Don't put your hard money into this stuff. I'll tell you, it would be a big mistake. I've been in the auto industry for 53 years. I've seen them come and I've seen them go. And this idea that these things are worth all this money now, Fantasyland. Crack DJ says, my car's taking more fuel. It's a 99 Mitsubishi Mirage. Check engine lights on and it has PO340 code. Camshaft position sensor. I can't find it. Help. That's an old car. It's got a distributor. The camshaft position sensor is built into the distributor. You got to replace the distributor as a unit. And if it's not working right, you're going to get crap gas mileage. Now, you can get brand new ones aftermarket for those. That's what I always do when I work on them. I don't bother trying to fix them. It's old distributor. Everything's worn. You just buy a new one. They make them in Taiwan and different places, and they work perfectly fine. Just get them from a reputable auto parts store so that if you have any problems, you'll be able to get another one free. Most of them, like AutoZone and stuff, they come with a lifetime warranty, so you'll never have to buy another one. But it's built inside the distributor. You'll never find it because it's inside there. And it should fix your gas mileage thing too. If the distributor doesn't fire the spark right, your gas mileage is going to go. Now the other thing is, let's say you got a worn timing belt on the thing. That'll do the same thing because it'll get the wrong data, and even though the sensor's right, it gives bad data, so the computer thinks the sensor's bad, but it's actually the belt is stretched. So check your belt too. It's an old car. It may need a timing belt. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.